Episode number 36 of Beyond the Plate, the show where I'm Chef Amrita Raichand's sidekick.
Oh, no, that's not true.
It's not derogatory. It's great. It's amazing. I'm not complaining.
But you shouldn't call yourself a sidekick because thanks to you, I can, we have a great pairing here.
Well, I'm just glad that, both of us got to see Sting perform at Lollapalooza, and the fact that a 70-year-old man can get on stage and belt it out for 2 hours. Like he says,
unbelievable.
It is yoga.
And I
said, what is the secret? He says, I do Ashtanga in the morning, every morning. And so I said, what do you do on a day like this when you have a performance in the evening? So he goes, wake up in the morning, early morning, do a routine of an hour of Ashtanga yoga. Then before I leave for the venue in the afternoon, I do pranayama for about 45 minutes.
Wow.
And he says, it's your country. It's your country that has given me this.
Yes.
And you're living in your country and you're asking me what I'm doing. So anyway, that's the story, Morning Glory. I'm also very proud to state that Amrita Raichand's son, Agastya, participated in the Mumbai Marathon, the famous marathon, and he was running for the NGO HEAL, and his goal was to collect money for the NGO and help them take care of abused children. I wanted to say that so that it doesn't look as though you're showing off. but really, you've been to a few marathons around the world, haven't you?
Yes, and I like the way you have actually spoken about Sting and my son almost in the same breath, and I was like, where did this conversation start and where did it go? But I want to say something about Sting, that he has actually inspired a lot by India, and he's had so many visits to India that it's amazing to see the guy the way he is. He inspires all of us. And I also wanted to add here that thank you for actually giving me those that invitation to come to Lollapalooza, because it really made me a big hit in my family. My son was literally jumping up and down, and his friends now think I'm quite a star. Okay, coming back to, yes, I was really proud that Agastya could participate here. But today what I really want to talk about is marathon, because having witnessed so many around the world and then actually seeing my son participate, I just thought it needs its fair amount of importance. We have to understand how did this marathon concept start? What really goes on to making a marathon runner? And, there are a lot of interesting things that I'm going to talk about today. So first, let's start with the history of the race. Interestingly, Rishi, the origin of this world-famous event dates back all the way to 490 BC during a war in Greece. Now, what happens there? Marathon actually is the name of a town in Greece which was being attacked by the powerful Persian army of about 25,000 soldiers under King Darius. The much smaller 10,000 men Greek army, they had to defend their turf in Marathon. And they knew that with the smaller army, it's going to be a struggle. So they called upon a really well-known runner, Pheidippides, who was ordered to run all the way to Sparta to ask for reinforcements. Theoretically, that was asking him to run 153 miles, which is 243 kilometers. Imagine if we had to run even 1 kilometer, we'd be like, panting. I mean, I can run about 4-5 kilometers, but anything more than that would be tough. This was even tougher because this was over a very rough terrain, including at least one notable mountain. Unfortunately, on reaching Sparta, Pheidippides did not get the news that he wanted. The Spartan army made an excuse that because of logistical issues, etc., they will not be able to come and help them. Pheidippides ran all the way back to give this bad news. Fortunately for the Greeks, thanks to their strategic landscape of Marathon, they managed to defend their town. Their army managed to fight the larger Persian army and won the battle. Now again, Pheidippides was summoned, this time to carry this happy news back to Athens. That distance from Marathon to Athens was roughly about 40 kilometers or 25 miles. On arriving into the Athens court, this is the sad part, but it's what led to the historic event. The poor guy had a heart failure and apparently was heard saying, "Hail, we are the winners," before he actually fell and died.
Poor chap, yeah. So obviously in memory of both Pheidippides and, the Greek army's victory, it's been called a marathon. Now, as far as I remember, in the modern Olympics, they introduced it in 1896. At that time, the guy who won, his timing was 3 hours and 11 minutes. And today, it's really amazing that with modern technology and modern training methods, this has come well under 3 hours, and the world record is about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I think that's fabulous. And Shamal Vallabhji, who's a sports scientist, a South African Indian, is telling me about how African runners, they did a test on them, and they found that their calf muscle is more elastic and more tenable than runners from other nationalities. You will come to that later on in the show, where you talk about the terrain in various countries. But it's amazing that some of these African runners, because the way they are built biologically, almost have an advantage. So my question is, why did it move from like 40 to 42 kilometers? Why did that happen?
This happened during the British Raj, when England was hosting the 1908 Olympics in London. British obviously believed that they had the most brilliant reason to change, to make this historical change. Hear this. Queen Alexandra wanted the marathon race to start on the lawns of Windsor Castle, so that it would allow the royal children to watch the start of the race. At the same time, the race obviously had to end in front of the royal box, also at the Olympic Stadium. Guess the distance between these 2 points along the route?
42.
You're absolutely right. And I'm presuming the British really didn't think that the Greek would get upset if they change their history by a couple of kilometers. Well, upset or not, ever since that particular marathon in London, the official distance ended up being 42 kilometers.
Now, I know that in the Mumbai Marathon, for example, there's a dream run, there's a half marathon, there's a full marathon. So it's a wonderful combination of athletes, people like yourself who are fit citizens, people in the media, famous personalities, and of course even senior citizens taking part. And what do you think are challenges and attractions for marathon runners? And by that I don't necessarily mean athletes.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening to us, a layman should be able to say, hey, I want to run.
Yes.
And from your diverse experience, and I believe where you train is where a lot of them train, what are the reasons you think people should, people are taking on to marathon running in a big way?
You don't really have to be an athlete. It's open really to any dedicated middle distance runner who could be an amateur of any age and gender. I work out at Bombay Gym, and you've heard a lot of stories about Bombay Gym, but I've personally witnessed so many runners of different age groups, and they start their training months ago. In fact, we have a 84-year-old man, we call him Captain, who actually runs the half marathon every year. So who can really take part in it? Anybody, first of all, who has a desire and has some sort of discipline. Because yes, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind, especially with respect to the training and the food that you eat. But the people who are already running, they also have a couple of challenges in their head which they want to kind of overcome every year. First thing is their race timing. So they keep pushing themselves till they become faster and faster. Secondly, this is a cute point. We always hear them chat about how many different cities, how many different countries, they've participated in. So like when we were younger, we would get excited by the number of visa stamps we had on our passport. These guys get excited by, we've run here, we've run there. So that's a sweet little added benefit that comes with being a marathon runner. But talking about their fitness, they literally have a strict regime. Sundays are usually the days for long runs where, they build their endurance. Between that, they have strength training and a lot of tempo workout. Now, it doesn't end there. It has to be interspersed with some kind of massage and also physio sessions with proper doctors, with, qualified physiotherapists. Because again, running is not as easy as we think, that get up and just start running, because you'll obviously end up with a lot of cramps and so on and so forth. So yes, it's not easy, unless, going back to what you were talking about, unless you're a Kenyan or an Ethiopian, because their genetic makeup is also, quite conducive to becoming runners. And if I had to quote the running aficionado and author A. Darren and Finn, who wrote a book called Running with the Kenyans, he gives a very interesting insights on why Kenyans dominate the world of marathons. He in fact narrowed it down to a certain tribe in these two countries that are dominating middle distance running, and not the entire country per se. What Finn says is that it is a perfect storm of elements that come together in Kenya's Rift Valley region. He says, firstly, there's the altitude, which helps the runners run faster when they come down to sea level. Secondly, it's the perfect running terrain with the characteristic rolling hills that these guys are blessed with. Also, the tough rural upbringing. where the children there are extremely active and they just keep running from here to there. Like it's, they don't really get into cars and don't have the privileged lifestyle. You want something, run there and get it across. And then a simple diet, no junk food, no extra screen time that we kind of are plagued with. And all these things really kind of sum up to make the champions that they are.
Okay, so really simple, the learnings from this. Eat healthy. If you're a parent, try and get your child to dunk the junk food.
Yes.
And get onto a proper diet. And obviously training should start at a young age. The Ask Amrita section comes up at the end of the show, and we're close to the end of the show, so get cracking. 9833943943 9833943943 on WhatsApp. Ask anything diet related, food related, recipe related, along with your name, and she will answer it. We come to you every Monday 8:15 to 9 a.m. on radio, Mumbai, Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, on 94.3 on the FM band. Our YouTube channel, Radio 1 International, features the entire episode in video form a couple of days later, Wednesday. And of course, the recipe of the week is filmed at Amrita's kitchen studio. That's at 94.3 Radio 1 India. And we also make sure that it's on Amrita's page at Amrita Raichand. Chef and Beyond is her YouTube channel, where you find lots of great long format and short format stuff, and that's what you got to go check out. Let's have it now, the recipe of the week.
Okay, so the recipe of the week is especially for marathoners or anybody who actually indulges in high endurance sport. If you're not any of those, this recipe is still amazing. It's a super healthy breakfast loaded with protein, loaded with good quality carbs, and something that easily you should start your day with. And the bonus is that this is an excellent breakfast recipe for vegetarians as well, because I know very often vegetarians struggle with the choice of healthy protein rich breakfasts that are available. So what's my recipe? It's scrambled tofu on toast along with a trio of bell peppers. This is really an amazing recipe, and I promise you, if you make it, I want you to give me a feedback saying, could you tell the difference between eggs and tofu scramble? Because this morning, Hrishi, just before I came for this recording, I made it for myself. Thursdays, I'm usually vegetarian. And I quietly just told my father-in-law, have a bite of this. My father-in-law is a egg fan, okay? No, he said, I'm having a fruit. My taste will get spoiled. I said, just for me, just have a bite. I said, these are amazing scrambled eggs. I gave him a bite and he said, oh my God, these are the best eggs I've ever eaten. And then when I told him tofu, his face literally fell. It was so amazing. So the reason I'm giving you this backstory is because I really want all of you to try it, even those who are not vegetarian. So what do you have to do? Just buy any tofu. You can use firm, the soft one, it doesn't matter, silken tofu. What you do is take some tofu. It can be silken or hard or firm. What you must do before you start making this is try taking out the excess moisture, because tofu has a lot of moisture. Then you heat up a pan, add a dollop of butter, break down this tofu, allow the moisture to get evaporated. Now the fun part, you have to add a pinch of turmeric, a pinch of black salt, not pink salt. Okay, black salt is the one which has a little sulfurous taste, which we usually use for chaats, and some white pepper if you have. Mix it well. In the end, when the moisture has evaporated, add some fresh cream to it, and what you have is a delicious scrambled tofu. And like I said, you will not be able to tell the difference. Then toast, make a toast with a sourdough bread, which is what I like. Otherwise, you can just use any bread of choice. With that, just saute some bell peppers. A trio is always nice because more color on your plate is also healthier and appetizing to the eyes. And also serve some baked beans. The baked beans recipe is there on my YouTube channel separately. So add that on, and what you have is a complete breakfast. Great carbohydrates, great amount of protein, all the vegetables giving you that fiber that you need. You can't ask for more.
Unfortunately, we have no time left to do the question of the week. So
really,
we're going to try and do an extra question the next time around. The marathon session was really marathon, wasn't it? We're going to come back next week with Beyond the Plate. Meanwhile, check our socials for all our fun reels, and see you soon. Thank you, Amrita.
Thank you so much for having me here.
94.3 Radio 1.